What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Girl You Know What. We are on episode 9, and this one is going to be about mainly real estate, and we got a little something special at the end, but we're going to say that for later. So I am your host, Tahir.
And I'm Kisha.
And as I mentioned, this episode is going to be about real estate. So last week we talked about gentrification and kind of ties
now
together.
We'll talk about everything about real estate.
Yes.
How much house you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted that, yesterday?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think I did. I posted it on my Facebook page. I follow a real estate agent in Florida, and she broke the formula down.
Yeah.
And I'll break the formula down again for people out there in the listening audience on exactly how much house you can afford, like fixed rates, and what does APR mean? What does ARM mean? We're just gonna cover all the bases. I ain't got no real estate license. It's just my passion.
Yeah, she loves it. Like she
I just
mentioned,
clear that up.
Right? And I think she meant like Kisha mentioned in our I think it was our reality TV episode or one of those that we did prior to how she mainly watched like she would watch at a young age like shows on real estate. Like she was into HGTV and stuff like that. At a young age. So the only thing I really watched on HGTV at that time was House Hunters, and I thought I knew about real estate. And when I got into the process of wanting to purchase a home and take classes, I was like, I don't know anything. It's a lot that goes into it. And some people... Yeah.
I think Mr. Bell did that to us a little bit, though.
He did, yeah.
Rest in peace, Mr. Bell.
Yes, definitely. That was our
I think
12th
it was
grade teacher.
him who started us on that. So we had a marriage project that we used to have to do in high school. That was your senior project.
Right.
And our teacher, he made you actually like write out how much a mortgage was.
Oh my goodness.
And I know I'm probably gonna say this word wrong, but it was a amortization
something
chart.
like that. Yeah. And mind you, we're only 18.
That.
So we had to know that all. Yeah, he
made us break all that down. And when I really was like, oh, I love real estate, his former student, I don't know if people remember her. I believe her last name was De Los Sanagos, or she was a real popular real estate agent in Columbus at the time.
It sounds familiar. I'm sure, like if I saw her, I know
it was
who
like
it is.
Deanna De Sanalagos. And Mr. Bell gave me her phone number.
Oh, okay.
And I called her, and she talked to me, and she was like, "Oh, like I remember when we did our marriage project," and she is the first. Like that's how I saw what an amortization chart was.
Oh, okay.
Because not only did she give me the a house or whatever it was to buy, she showed us broke the payments down,
right,
how much interest they charge you along the way.
Oh, okay.
So she was very helpful.
Yeah, that's good. And see, I wish I would have done something like that. Now two of my aunts, one graduated from the high school we went to, Mifflin. One graduated in 88, and then one graduated in 90. And they both had Mr. Bell, so I couldn't get away with anything because he knew my aunts and knew my grandparents. But anyway, so I asked him, I said, I remember my aunts because I used to live with my grandparents. So I remember my aunts doing their marriage project. Like I remember who they were partners with. Right. The guy coming over and, working with them and them doing it. I remember that, like at a young age. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. So I couldn't wait until if I went to Mifflin and if I had Mr. Bell, I would be doing a marriage project. And luckily I was able to do that. It really did open your eyes to that. So it was very, I don't know if other schools did it. I'm sure, they had senior projects and stuff like that, but it was very beneficial at the time.
And it really just helped you realize how much you could afford, because he used to make you write a budget for how much your clothing would cost.
Yeah, if you had kids.
Yeah, how much it would cost to raise a kid. That project was detailed.
It was very.
We had one of those. What was that? The 3-inch binders.
Yeah, it was a 3-inch binder.
You had to get the big binder, and you literally had to have those little sheets where you stuff the papers down, the clear things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my Lord, that was just so
Yeah,
much.
it was a lot, but it was not only informative, but it was kind of fun too. Because like my marriage
It
partner was
was.
Michael. It was Michael Aaron. That was my marriage partner. So we had a lot of fun working on that together.
Yeah, and I
So
thought Lewis was gonna be like the kind of partner that didn't do no work. He was
uh-huh.
serious about that
Yeah,
though.
yeah. People
And you
took it
remember, so you
seriously.
had to go through catalogs, and we
Mm-hmm.
picked out what your clothes would look like, what kind of.
Yes.
You had to put those pictures on there.
Like what, like even like down to details, like what kind of dishes you wanted in your kitchen, just like anything you could find like that. It was so detailed, like how much that you were going to spend and everything like that. So yeah, it
And I'm
was.
sitting here thinking about these clothes that Lewis picked out. It's
Oh.
exactly how his dad dresses right now.
Yes.
Like, see, parents is important. Like,
Yes.
having parental figures in your life is important because
Yes.
that just show you, like, he really looked up to his dad.
Yeah, so he was like, when I get this age, this is how I'm going to
I'm gonna
dress.
be
This is how I'm
dressing
going to
like my
carry myself.
dad.
Okay, that is
And I don't think he
funny.
ever verbally came out and said it.
Yeah, but it was
But
just the
I remember
action.
he picked out these like sweater vests and like,
Uh-huh.
he picked out the clothes. And if you look at his dad's pictures when his dad goes to work right now
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook, it's exactly the same clothes that his dad
See,
wears.
so he was watching.
Yeah,
That's why,
like it's really
yeah. It
important.
really is. It
Be
really
an active
is.
father, gentlemen. The
Yes,
kids are watching.
yes, for sure. Know
I mean,
that.
how long ago was that? Like,
Oh, shoot.
it was like 97,
Yeah, 97,
98.
98. Yeah, damn.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
long time
It
ago.
was. It was. And it's just
We
like,
out
it's
here old as shit, but
old
go
as
on.
shit. But it's just funny how, like, all that stuff that we did back then, it really does. Like, people think, like, oh, now there were certain things that I did learn in school where I was like, I'm not going to use this, and I didn't. But it was still, but that was one of the
Well,
things,
honey, that right there,
that right there. Yeah.
that right in their budgets.
I was like, what is this? Girl,
Yeesh.
girl, but
Took
so,
me a while to get it,
yeah. Who you
but thank
telling?
God I got it.
Yeah. It took a while, but
It took a while to
it
get
was
it.
good. And then I remember when the year after we graduated, our freshman year in college, when I was home from break, I went up, I went back up to Mifflin, and
Uh-huh.
my little brother was actually going there at the time. He was a freshman. So I think I went up there to go pick him up one day, and I went to go see a couple of teachers, and I went up to Mr. Bell, and I didn't even think again about that marriage project. And he was like, "Do you want your marriage project?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was like, "Yeah." So he gave me my binder back, and now I don't know what I did with it, and I wish I would have it so I could reference back to it, for certain
Oh, I
things, or
think I
just,
got mine,
yeah, I
but
don't know where mine is now.
I don't know where it's at to this day. But I know I had got mine
Mm-hmm.
before
Yeah.
school was out. Oh, excuse me,
Oh, it's all
cough.
right, girl. You know what's happening.
When you hear
Hey,
people cough now, do you be like, "Oh, COVID"? Do you still be feeling like COVID?
you know what? Now I don't.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah. Now I don't. But at first I was like,
Oh,
oh,
baby, when it was at the height,
listen,
people was struggling to
you couldn't
breathe
do
because they didn't want to
nothing.
cough out loud.
I remember one time I was at the store with my aunt. This is like when like it was like really shut down, but we were at the store like doing some grocery shopping or something like that. And she had to cough, and even though she had her mask on, she was scared to cough, so she was trying to hold it in.
Oh,
I felt so bad for her. I was like, "Girl, you better let your old ass let that cough out."
people will hold that cough till they be about to pass out. Do you
Coughs
hear
and
me?
sneezes, girl, you couldn't do nothing.
I
But
ain't gonna lie though. If people still to this day be like, "Oh, I don't feel good.
oh yeah,
Oh, my throat hurt.
uh-huh.
Oh, I gotta." I be like, "You take a COVID test? You better go
Listen,
get you a COVID test."
listen immediately because that shit
Because
is
no
still going
lie,
around.
my friend had a headache for. Let's say she had a headache for like 2 weeks or
Uh-huh.
3 weeks. And she was just kept saying, "Oh my God, this is like the worst
Ooh, when
headache
you say that
I've ever
worse,
had."
ooh,
She then she, well, like her nose was running, or she had like a little, and she just said, "Oh, it's just my sinuses." Black people, I done told y'all about that once, but we'll circle back to that sinus thing. She
mm-hmm.
kept saying, "It's my sinus, it's my sinus." She had COVID the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it
Had
felt like a
COVID.
little like, and I know a lot of people say this before that because I've heard a lot of people say it, myself included, before COVID was like out there, before it got a name and everything like that, or at least a name for us. Um, I remember the end of 2019. I felt horrible. It was like I had this cold that I could not get rid of for nothing. And I just, and it was like I had all the symptoms, but I didn't know what it was. And it just went away. Like, but it lingered, so I just wonder if I had it, but
we were sick.
Yeah, we were sick. Yeah, there was something going around. Yeah.
And it's before, like you said, there was no test.
Mm-hmm.
I knew something was wrong because my boyfriend got it first.
Mm-hmm.
And he works in that kind of environment where.
Oh, yeah.
And so we do a good job of like, because of any health issue I have, I'm like, do not touch me. Mm-hmm. Do not come close to me because I cannot get sick.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like a week passed. And we're like, okay, you're better. Okay. Give me a kiss. You're going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick. And it would happen so fast, which was strange because it never happened before.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah.
I was sick for so long that probably happened. And I even wrote about it on my website, like in my blog.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick for at least 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it just kept lingering and just kept.
And at that cough, to the point that and we're talking about sick before the March shutdown.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And at the March shutdown, I had coughed so much and I was so exhausted. I was like, I might need to go to the hospital. And I don't like to say I need to go to the hospital.
Right.
So the fact that I was feeling that way will tell you how bad I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, shit, I can't go to the hospital because of COVID.
Right. You couldn't do that. Everything was shut down, girl. It was crazy.
So I have some oxygen. I turned it all the way up. And I have this little machine where you can give yourself breathing treatments.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I nursed myself
and
called the nurse and was like, look, I need some assistance. And it's finally, maybe I felt normal in May.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like I felt
it took some time.
I feel normal again.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, what are we talking, 5 months?
Yeah, girl, yeah.
That was a long time.
Mm-hmm. And that's about the average.
Cough is terrible.
Oh my gosh. And that's like about the average for even people who get the professional treatment, like when they go to the hospital and stuff like that, they still, they still have. And then they say like people who had it real bad and survived, thank God that they survived, they will have lingering issues for the rest of their life pretty much. That's terrible.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of, a girl I follow on Instagram, I believe, she's a nurse and she caught it. And she said the one thing that she does not like, that it really bothers her still, is her heart rate. Really high.
Yeah. That's terrible.
And and I mean in like the 150s.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I believe it.
And she just says she like cannot bear that. It's scary.
Yeah. Girl. But see, and and this is typical for us, we talk about one thing to another. We're supposed to be talking about real estate, but
Lord, help us, Lord.
I mean, it is what it is. But like I said, this is just like a conversation that we have, so y'all are privy to some of the things that we discuss. Not everything, but some of the things. So,
so you can start off with the questions. We did get the chance to have some interview questions that we gave to a real estate agent who, again, was a graduate of the same high school that we attended.
Mm-hmm.
And she has many years of real estate experience and mortgage banking experience. So her name is Brandi Mack-Wade. And if you are in the market for a home in the Columbus, Ohio area, you can give her a call. Her email address is Brandi, and that's BRANDI, saleshomes@gmail.com.
Yes.
Her phone number is 614-946-6236. And I'm giving you this information off of her card, off her business card.
Yeah.
And she's with Key Realty. Again, that's Brandi Wade, realtor in Franklin County and surrounding area. So go right ahead, Danielle.
Yes. So we want to thank Brandi for, taking the time and, and also want to give a shout out to her and her husband. They're celebrating their anniversary. So that's why one of the reasons she wasn't able to be on the show.
Right.
But, we give people the opportunity, like if you want to be on the show, or if you don't, whatever. But, you
Yeah,
know.
if you have a prior commitment,
Yeah, but
well, we have no problem forming some questions
yes.
that we feel like the listeners would want to know
Mm-hmm.
and giving you the opportunity to answer those questions. So
Yeah.
we completely understood that it was her anniversary
Oh
and they were
yeah.
there. I think they were were they out of the country or
I
in
believe
Hawaii? I can't
so.
remember. But
Yeah.
she showed where she was. Like they were
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah. But so I'm gonna go ahead and get into some of the questions that we asked her, and then we'll just go from there, and then we'll just then, like I said, this is Tia Keisha's expertise, so I'm just going to let her
Please
go
don't.
after what.
These
So,
people will be judging me and raking me over the coals.
uh,
I don't have a real estate license. I just
expertise.
love it, y'all.
Yeah, she just loves it. So of course,
And I just want to see everybody buy a home.
that's
Like,
it. And we're going to get
I want
into
you to
why
know
it's
your
important.
numbers. Just like I
Yes.
talk about knowing your numbers for health, I want
Mm-hmm.
you to know your numbers about what you can afford
Mm-hmm.
and don't be scared. Cleaning
Yeah.
your credit up is scary,
Yes, it is.
but
Oh
don't
my
be scared.
goodness. Yes.
You can do it.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about, we're going to have an episode on finance eventually that'll be coming into season 2. We'll give you
Yes.
more details on that next week. So, about our second season and what we're going to be doing. But anyway, let me because we can go on for this about, forever. We could do a whole nother
Oh my God,
episode.
we have so much more to talk about. So I'll
Girl.
read the question. So the
Okay.
first question we asked Brandi was to tell us about yourself. And
Okay.
what was her answer, Danielle?
She said, aside from being a licensed realtor since 2004, I also spent I also spent over 15 years in mortgage banking, so I know both sides of the business. As a real estate agent with several years of experience, I understand that buying or selling a home is more than just a transaction. Very important. That is very important, y'all. It is a life changing experience. It is often a time of stress and excitement at the same time. I have only worked in mortgage financing or real estate my entire working life. I started in banking financing at the age of 18 years old as a temporary employee, which helped shape my mindset to be able to purchase my first home at the age of 19. That is when I officially fell in love with real estate. So she's definitely an expert in this
So
field.
she got the sauce.
Yes,
Okay,
I mean that
she
part
got
right
it.
there. Yes.
So then the next question will move down. Do you feel this is honestly a good time to buy for first time home buyers?
Yeah, okay. So she said her response was, "It is always a good time to buy, but it is definitely a very challenging time to buy. We are currently in a seller's market. This means there are more buyers looking to buy than homes for sale. So when properties do come on the market, it can be very difficult to win a bid as you are against so many other buyers and possibly cash investors. Also, for the last 10 years, we have been at record interest rate lows, which help many buyers qualify for a higher purchase price. Recently, the interest rates have been on the rise with talks of several more increases coming this year. Keep that in mind, y'all. So, this will lower the amount that buyers qualify for, but will hopefully slow down the competition to make more level market."
Yes, that is very important what she said there. Do you see gentrification as an issue when it comes to home buying?
It is somewhat an issue as it is driving up the prices in what used to be affordable areas and neighborhoods, which doesn't allow affordable housing for new home buyers. It drives many people of color, elderly, and people with disabilities from their homes. It also causes big rent increases for lower income residents. But on the other hand, it is increasing property values for current homeowners to allow them to sell their homes at a profit. So that's it. Kind of gives both sides of gentrification, and what all that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, what happens
it can
within
be
it.
bad for if you don't have the capital, you can definitely get priced out of an area.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But then if you're in that area and you're keeping your home up and it has become desirable to outside people, then you probably will make a profit.
Yeah.
You'll definitely be able to sell your home at a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um okay, because this is something that Danielle wanted to ask, which I think is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with the amount of real estate investors on the rise, how does that affect those who are looking to purchase a home as a primary resident and not as an investment property.
And I'll explain why. After I answer her question, I'll explain why this is very important to me, or just why I'm curious about it, I should say.
Right.
So her answer to that was, this has become a huge problem with all price ranges, as there are so many investors in and out of state offering to purchase homes in cash and turning these properties into rentals or reselling them for higher at a profit. When a homeowner is looking to purchase, and using financing, it is hard to compete with a quick closing cash offer with no contingencies. However, there are some agents and sellers that would rather take an offer from an actual home buyer to continue the dream of home ownership. So my issue with this, and it's not, I can't really call it an issue because I'm not personally, affected by it, but I do see it. And one day I do want to purchase a home. Right now, I mentioned before that I moved into my grandparents' house when my grandfather passed away to help with my grandmother take care of the house. So I don't own this house. This is not my house, but I would like to one day. And I'm just worried if I go out there and buy, want to purchase a home, and I see a home that I like, is within my price range, because I've seen so many people who say that they have put in over 30, 35 offers on a house, but they keep getting outbid by someone who's coming in with cash sight unseen. They're just purchasing the house, for their financial gain. And that's how this country works, sadly, is a capitalist market. But in saying that, I want to build generational wealth. And that's what a lot of people don't realize about purchasing a home and purchasing real estate helps do. And I don't have any kids, but I want to start generational wealth for my nieces and nephew because I'm not sure. Never mind, I'm not going to go there. But I want to have them to have something to fall back on.
Right.
So that's what
you can still leave a legacy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It doesn't have to be.
I think people
don't realize that.
Have that, you still have people that you care about. Just because you haven't birthed a child doesn't mean you have nothing. Like, I think sometimes people treat it like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So to this point, I was really, again, we all know that real estate piques my interest. So I was really, what I noticed when the shutdown happened. If you notice, I think the market was moving kind of funny before. But if you notice, since the shutdown, it has been crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was wondering.
That's when I noticed all this stuff.
How are we shut down, but all these people are buying houses? This is a little, I don't get this.
Yeah, because you see a house for sale and then it's gone the next day. The for sale sign's gone, then like 2 days later.
So what I learned that people were doing was cashing out of their 401ks, or people were cashing out of their investments, and they were that, because I couldn't figure out, how come all these people paying cash for these houses?
Right.
Where y'all getting this money from? So, what they always tell you, follow the money. So then I've learned that people were cashing out of like their stocks and their investments, and they were taking that money and they were purchasing houses for cash. And then I was like, oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah. Because
I couldn't understand, like, who's lending this to you? Who's lending you this money? The market, the housing market is going crazy. You're not going to work. Everybody's job is shut down. A lot of people were getting furloughed. How are you acquiring this cash? And that's how they took it out of the market.
Yeah.
And I almost believe, and I have to go back and check, but I believe that it was almost like a little mini documentary or a news segment that I got the information from, where they were saying like they're cashing out and they're purchasing for cash. But I also believe the market took a hit.
Oh, yeah.
Because when they had the shutdown, people began to get a little like nervous, and they started pulling their cash out.
Yeah.
And that's why the market had dipped. And I was like, oh, okay, now it all makes sense when I figured that out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like you said, because that situation, when people come offering cash, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I hear, her say that some people still want to continue, you know, home ownership, and they want to see other people be able to get in homes, but most people just want the cash.
Yeah. So they can move on going about their business. They don't want to, because it's a lot. It's a headache. So they don't want to
We
deal
are a
with it.
capitalistic society, and most
Mm-hmm.
people want the cash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't care about you building no wealth, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
care about that.
Yeah, because I'm not going to lie. If I was in that situation, on the other side, and I was looking to sell, and somebody came in with more money than I'm offering, of course. I mean, who wouldn't take that? I mean, there are some people that wouldn't, I'm sure, because I'm sure she's experienced that.
So now I'm on a hunt for an appraiser.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a question for real estate appraisers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the part that I'm yet confused on. Now, and maybe that's because it goes back to the cash.
Right.
Because if you're a real estate appraiser and you come in and I have told you that this house is worth $172,000,
Mm-hmm.
you put this house on the market for $172,000.
Right.
And let's say you put the house on the market for $169,900. And then someone offers you $250,000.
Listen.
If I've already appraised this property and told you it's only worth $172,000,
Mm-hmm.
why in God's name would you pay $250,000 for it? I have not been able to figure that out yet, and I need to find a real estate appraiser.
And that kind of reminds me that you said that you broke it down like that. You gave that analogy. That kind of reminds me of, remember, I think it was last summer, and people were obviously doing the same thing. They were pulling all their money into stocks and Bitcoin and all those things like that. And one of the main ones that a lot of people, quote unquote, regular working class people like us, they were investing like in GameStop and places like that. And these millionaires, these investors were coming in pissed and trying to shut it down because they didn't want those people to come in and take their money.
Because they had predicted, this is going to sound so crazy. So I watch a show on HBO called The Gilded Age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day when they were building, remember the primary travel was like railroads.
Yeah.
So there was a guy who owned the railroads. He wanted to build, I'm thinking it's Grand Central Station. What we know as Grand Central Station today.
Mm-hmm.
He came in, he wanted to build it. Well, you had to get approval to say you can build another station.
Right.
Well, what they had conspired behind his back was, we're going to not approve the station. The stock in his company will fall. We'll swoop in and buy up all the shares and then go back and approve the law. The stock will raise and then we'll make money.
Mm.
Do you see what I'm saying? And what you just explained is, so it's like you've appraised this thing at this value.
Right.
But now you've come in and paid more for it than it's really said to be worth.
Yeah.
Some kind of way there has to be a profit made.
Oh, yeah.
Because to the outside person, you've gone in upside down.
Right, completely.
I don't get it.
I don't either. That's weird, but it just seems, and I take it back to, it's just like certain people, a certain class of people not wanting other people to advance because
and that's
they want
what
to
they
keep
did
all
in
the money.
GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
They predicted that GameStop was supposed to go under.
Right.
But the people rallied and still bought the stock, which made it raise.
Yep.
And they were frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did on that show, The Gilded Age.
Mm-hmm.
So when they didn't approve his station, he was so rich that he started to buy his own stock.
See?
And just kept buying it and buying it and buying it. And it pushed it up so high that they went broke.
See? Money
And
can
that's
do a
what they
lot.
tried to do with GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
They were intentionally trying to make the little guys lose their money.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And it all
And I
ties
just don't
together.
understand what this whole home, because I thought the home appraisal was like to protect the buyer
That's what I thought.
from
Yeah.
spending too much.
But I guess when you got the money and you really want this property, which I don't understand why it would be that serious, but when you look into the psychology of it, it's just like
And some people love the thrill of the chase and love the thrill of
exactly.
winning.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
Mhm.
Yep, that's what it comes down
Just
to.
to say they beat you.
Yeah.
Just to say, oh, I outbid you.
Mm-hmm.
We won.
Right.
Even if you got the short end of the deal, just the fact that they won.
Yeah, that they won.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's all they're looking for.
And if you got that much disposable income, I will gladly give you my PayPal account. I'm just saying. I got some hospital bills I gotta pay off.
I mean, it's crazy.
It is. It really is. But that's the kind of world
so let's see.
In.
I think another one that is important is, do you think we will see another real estate crash?
Okay, so she answered, the simple answer is that forecasters do not think that it will crash in the near future. The current trends in the forecast for the next 12 to 24 months clearly show that the housing market is expected to stay robust. The inventory will remain low, but with slower appreciation.
Yeah, because they didn't overpay for everything.
Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to.
So then we asked her to take a moment and give us any information that you think we should know about being a first-time home buyer.
Yeah, this is really good. So listen to this closely, y'all, because if you're a first-time home buyer, this is going to be really helpful. A few things that I tell my first-time home buyers is that when purchasing a home in this market, if you are prepared for what is ahead, you will be able to find a home. Here are a few steps, and she gave us 5 steps. So the first one is start saving early. You will need money for home inspection, down payment, and closing costs to purchase a home. Number 2, check and strengthen your credit if needed. Higher the credit score, the more options are available to you. Number 3, get pre-approved with a mortgage lender so that you know exactly how much you qualify for, as well as your estimated monthly payment and funds needed for closing. Number 4, choose a real estate agent. And I want y'all to choose my girl. She said me. So she put that in.
Yes. Choose her.
Yeah. So choose a real estate agent. Go with my girl, Brandi. Number 5, decide on the type of house and area of town that you want to be in. Be sure that you are being realistic, very important, in what your budget can qualify for.
Please be realistic.
Yeah, don't just go out there because you always wanted to live in this neighborhood and everything. And not saying that it can't happen, but just be realistic.
But if you can't afford that, you just can't live there.
Because it's not gonna end up good for you, boo boo. It's not. We've seen it way too many times. These foreclosures and everything don't just happen because people lost a job, or something sadly has happened or whatever.
No, because we see people get their houses foreclosed on and they still going to work every day.
Listen, yeah. So it's just like we had to learn that everybody can't keep up with the Joneses. It's an old saying, but it's the truth.
Sometimes we just make poor decisions.
Yeah, and that's fine. We all have, and it's not the end of the world, but just like she said, be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, girl.
So the one thing I did want to say, I got all this stuff wrote down, y'all.
Go ahead, girl.
So I'm going to do this fast as I can. Average home price in Ohio for a new build, $290,000 to $345,000. Yep, you heard me. Mm-hmm.
In Ohio, y'all.
Average home price in Ohio, this is according to Zillow, $186,211. But the average home price in America is $303,288. So we are well below the average.
Mm-hmm.
The average price in Columbus $225,000.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
In Dayton, $130,000.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes the formula of how much can you afford. So before, no, I'm gonna do it like she did it. So you want to take your salary or your hourly rate. If you do not, so I think everybody out there knows this. We're old. You know, if you are on salary, you get the same paycheck every 1st and 15th, 15th and 30th, or every other Friday, however they give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Most salary people get paid twice a month, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So you would take your salary times, so let's say your hourly rate. Let's say, but most people get paid hourly.
Mm-hmm.
So you would take your hourly rate, multiply that by 40, multiply that by 52. That gives you your annual salary. You would take your annual salary, divide that by 12. That gives you a monthly income.
Mm-hmm.
You would take your monthly income, divide that by 2, because you're only going to be allowed, what is it, like your debt, you can only do 50% of your income towards debt. So half of that, so that you get the half of your monthly income. You take that number and let's say the number's 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
You would subtract whatever your monthly debts would be. That would include credit cards, student loans, car loan. Whatever you pay, you subtract it from that 2,000. Let's say, and we know this is not a real number, okay? Let's just say that it's 1,500, because I'm sure people have more than $500 in bills a month. But let's just say 1,500 for a number's sake. You would take 1,500 and you would multiply it by 10. You'll get a number which is about 15 million. You'll divide that by 65. Now, where do we get 10,065 from? For every $10,000 in house cost, $65 is what you would pay in house payment. So for every $10,000 a house costs you, you're going to pay $65 on that 10,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Okay. So you take that number, you divide it by 65. What you get is $230,000. That's how much house you can afford. That is the formula for how much house you can afford. Again, I have this video up on my Facebook page and I have it saved in my phone. If you want it, if you know me, you can inbox us and I will send it to you gladly. No problem. If you need me to post it again, I'll post it. I may be able to post it to the Instagram page.
Yeah, you should be able to.
It's saved in my phone, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and send it to me too, and I'll post it on mine so we can get it out there as well. Yeah, we'll post it on our business pages. I'll post it on my personal page as well, and we'll do it on the show's Instagram page too.
Yes, but she broke the formula down quite simple, and I did it for us. Like it was easy to follow. What else did I want to talk about? Okay, we need to talk about adjustable rate mortgages.
Oh yeah,
really fast. So when the crash happened in 2008, everybody probably was like, "What the heck happened? What happened?" Most of that happened because most people had adjustable rate mortgages, and because it was predatory lending. But
right.
you know,
yeah,
it was definitely predatory lending.
Oh yeah,
they were giving loans to people who technically didn't qualify and couldn't afford the loans that they were receiving. You know, that's just flat out what happened.
Yeah.
And then people lost their homes as a result of it. But what an adjustable rate mortgage is, so let's say you have a 5-to-1 adjustable rate mortgage. For the first 5 years of the loan, you'll get a fixed rate. So it'll look good. You'll come in and let's say your rate is 3.75%. So you got a low house payment. Well, after those 5 years, then it goes up to 4.75. So don't seem too high of an adjustment, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay that for 12 months. But then it might go up to 7.75%. And now you in deep shit.
Right.
Because you've gone from paying $600 on a mortgage to paying $900 on a mortgage.
Exactly.
And $300 may not seem like a lot. But when you barely got approved to get in the house,
mm-hmm.
you know, going from 6 to 9, and then if it goes up again, you're at $1,200.
Right.
In the blink of an eye. So that is how the market really crashed.
Mm-hmm.
That is how adjustable rate mortgages took most Black people out the game.
Right.
And do you think we've recovered?
Not yet. They can say all they want to. Now, more people are going back to work, have been working for a little while. People are going more to the stores and things like that. But I still don't think that it's really recovered. I really don't, because you see stories on the news
about
still.
Wells Fargo.
Oh my gosh.
Openly
mm-hmm.
denying Black people for loans.
And they're not the only ones, but they were just the ones that really got caught up
in
it because
they were exposed.
Exactly, because they're doing it with no shame, obviously. So
right,
child, it's crazy. It's crazy. You just have to be smart, and you really. And I advise people also, because I've taken 2 different ones in your city. They have home ownership classes. They have finance classes. A lot of them offer them for free if you go to your local urban league. We have Homeport here in Columbus. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but organizations like that.
Yeah, Homeport.
Yeah, that's the first one that I took, and that's when I was this was 10 years ago when I took my first home ownership class, because I was really into it. But it was a lot. It was a lot for me to process, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to continue to rent, because it's just it was a lot for me at the time, because it was more than I was expecting. And right. I wish that I would have went on and pursued it, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I advise you to take any kind of classes that you have, and you could find them for free. Maybe your local community college has classes for free, things like that. It's, and usually they'll have them throughout the week, like in the evening. They'll have them on the weekend. So if you have the time to do it, I suggest doing it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, Brandi Wade for your real estate needs.
Yes.
And we will definitely share her virtual business card on the Girl You Know What page.
Yes.
But now,
girl. So
we gotta talk about it.
We gotta talk about it. We have to.
We can't keep talking about we didn't put the prophetic word out.
Listen, okay,
I literally sat here.
There. Start right there. Go ahead.
I literally sat here last Sunday and went through this whole spew about how I was disheartened about how Black men are treating each other in public spaces. Mm-hmm. And I'd be damn if 12 hours after I said the shit on this mic, he didn't Watusi his ass up on that stage and smack that man in his face. 12 hours.
12 hours.
I literally had just said it. And I was directing that to D.L. Hughley.
Right.
Because I did not like the way he was handling Kanye West in a public space.
Right.
I didn't like it. I felt like if you really felt like he was wrong, or if you really are trying to restore him and encourage him to have a better way to handle himself, you would address that with him in private.
Right.
Actually go to him.
If you care. If you really care about it.
If you really care. Mm-hmm. And then that. And I feel the same way here. Mm-hmm. If you really felt offended or whatever the fuck was going on with y'all, because it didn't look like neither one of y'all was offended.
No. It was built up. This was something that was built up between all 3 of them.
I and I respect that opinion, but I don't even know if I believe that. I mean, I honestly just believe. I'm gonna try to not curse a lot because I saw the wrong words coming out. I honestly just feel like it is misplaced anger.
Oh, no. Trust me,
It's
for sure.
Misplaced frustration.
And like I told you, it's sad because it's misplaced anger, but he also feels like he has to prove something to his wife.
And it's never going to work.
Never.
I wish he had a real hood friend who he really listened to, who just sat him down and said, homeboy, it don't matter what you do.
Exactly.
It don't make a difference. This week, I just saw that letter, which I was never even aware of this letter, that Willow wrote to Tupac, talking about, I know you are alive somewhere.
Child.
I wish you would just come back so me and my mommy could be happy.
Listen.
Homeboy.
And this child wasn't even born when Tupac died. So
what I just told my boyfriend that. I said, she don't even know Tupac.
Right.
So that tells you what's happening in that home.
And also, like I told you, we already had a discussion about this, obviously, because, we had a discussion amongst ourselves because people on social media were doing way too much.
We almost did a show in the middle of the week.
We almost did an emergency show. Yes.
And we said, no, let's just wait.
But like I told you,
let's see what else happens.
Right. And a lot came out since then, too. But Jada, if Tupac, I told you exactly what I told you. If Tupac was still alive today, he and Jada would have either gotten together or they would still be together by now, because that was a love. And obviously the way that she still holds on to it after Tupac got all his playing and everything out the way, because he was doing his thing, obviously. Then, and she was too up until that point, obviously. But I think that they would have gotten together. They would at least had a child. It would have been something. It would have been something between the two of them, because they had that was a true love. That was true love right there between the both of them. Now, if it was just a friendship on his end and whatever on her end, but something would have happened between the two of them.
And it honestly makes sense, because I think while we were talking about it, either I was talking about it with you or I was talking about it with Ronnie. And I said, wait a minute, let me look this up. And he passed away in 96. She married him in 97.
Right. She wasn't ready to get married. But
excuse me.
But you reminded me of something about how she felt about her wedding.
You said what?
I'm sorry. You reminded me of something about how she felt about her wedding.
Exactly.
She was miserable on her wedding day.
Sense.
She admitted
when
openly.
I looked at when Tupac passed away and when she married him, it made sense. I mean, and I think I'm quoting her right. She said it was one of the worst days of her life.
Yep. She said it was one of the worst days of her life. Now, she didn't elaborate on it, of course. Yeah, but we know what it was.
She said she felt forced. You know, her mother was forcing her into it. I mean, because think about being a mother.
Right.
And the hard relationships that Grammy had. Versus here comes Will Smith, good guy, straight lace, you know, loves his family, you know, divorced one kid, you know, think about that. And versus what you had seen your daughter with versus him coming through the door.
Right.
So they probably pushed her into marrying.
Oh, I could totally see that.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious because she ain't happy.
No, she ain't happy. You can see that. Like, I was just looking at, Google Images because I was going to do a video on this as well, but I decided against it because, like I said, people were doing too much. But I was looking at older videos, older photos of them, and even more recent photos too. But this was mainly like older photos when they were supposed to be all happy. And remember, people were calling them goals and everything like that. And
No.
no. But she didn't look happy in a lot of those pictures.
Well, remember, excuse me, I keep getting strangled.
Oh, you're fine.
So remember when they talked about, so she made the statement about not wanting to be married initially. She was miserable. She was pregnant. She just was not in a good place.
Right.
Well, fast forward to her 40th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he said he had thought it would be really nice. Look up her family. He did like a whole family tree, a whole video for her, and said everybody was just like, oh, like, thought it was just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
She hated it.
See.
She not only hated it and was like walked off in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
He said that was one of the worst arguments that they ever had.
Right.
And they argued in front of Willow, said they were screaming so bad. Willow was crying and screaming. And he said, we never really resolved it. We just walked off. And because it was upsetting Willow so bad, they just
went over. Yeah. And I bet they've had a lot of disagreements like that where it hasn't been resolved because they don't care enough.
Well, I don't feel like he never really said it was ever resolved.
Mm-hmm.
So now fast forward to, is she 50 yet?
If she isn't, she's close. Because I think he's 51 or 52, if I'm not mistaken. He's in his early 50s for sure. But I think she's a few years younger.
Haven't resolved it.
No. Mm-mm.
And remember when he came out with that video, she is 50. She'll be 50. Yeah, she is 50. She'll be 51, I believe.
Okay.
Remember, that's when he came out with the whole video. I can no longer make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
It is that person's responsibility to be happy.
Right. Yep.
And maybe he did realize it, like, I can't give her what it is she's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think, I pray to God that he doesn't, I don't think he understands that it's not a thing that she's looking for, but a person.
Exactly. That's very important. And he's not that person, sadly.
You can't be somebody else.
And he knows that. And that's why he felt like he had to do what he had to do Sunday.
But I'm going to tell you again, sir. And I hate to say that, and I know, you know what really disturbed me the most?
What's that?
Was seeing people okay it.
Okay, go ahead and speak on that because, well, first let me say this. They okayed it, and now everybody's against Chris Rock, which I'm going to lie, I'm not a fan of hardly either one of them. So I didn't really have a dog in the fight. I didn't really care. But to see people okay it and, calling Chris Rock all these names and everything like that. And now I will admit that Chris Rock has been problematic. He has said things about Black women that I have not agreed with and things like that. But he's not the only one. But I just could not believe people were okaying it. And it's the same people who okayed it who wouldn't do that for their spouse or their spouse wouldn't do it for them.
And I guess, I don't know. So I think sometimes, I think when you just said that Chris Rock has been problematic and he has said things about Black women, I've been wondering, and this is not directed at you, but where do y'all be seeing this stuff? Because I be missing it. Well, I be feeling like I'm out the loop. Just like the stuff that was happening with Kanye West, when they were saying he was saying all that stuff about Pete. And I was like, where do we be seeing it at? Because I ain't on the same internet.
Well, you know what? You don't follow a lot of those gossip pages. I remember you told me that. Like, you don't follow. No. Yeah. So that's where I see a lot of the stuff.
Okay.
because I follow him just to be nosy because I don't really watch this stuff. So but I still like to be informed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't watch a lot of reality shows, but I watch a lot of YouTube reviews and also YouTube too. That's where I get,
Okay.
yeah. So that's how I keep up with what's going on.
Right.
But like I will say this: when Chris Rock lost me, like I just never really thought he was funny. That's why I never really was a fan. And I think that like the Good Hair documentary, even though I think it started as a good concept because I guess his daughter was, she didn't like her hair or something like that. So he wanted to see, get
So
into
that documentary offended people?
it did because it didn't. I don't think it did. Now I only saw it once, and I didn't really get too into it or anything like that. I think I watched it like over a friend's house or something, and I didn't pay it any attention after this. But from what I'm understanding, and I didn't get this, but people were saying that he basically, in the end, instead of going into the whole hair business and things like that, and why black women feel they need to do this and that and the other, he was trying to get, I guess, into the root of it. But in the end, it was basically like, why are y'all doing, like almost like a way, like, I can't really put it into words, but he was basically,
I was gonna say they lying. I done seen that movie 10 times, and
okay,
whoever
they were. No, go ahead.
Sometimes I feel like people want to be offended by shit.
Oh, of course, that's the society we live in now.
And so his daughter, you're right. The movie was really about him telling his daughter, "You do have good hair."
Right.
Like,
and they were saying like it took a left turn or something like that. Like basically he was going against the hair industry for making black women feel that they had to do this. So that offended people. That's what I was trying to get out.
What?
Yeah.
I just want, oh God, I want to watch it with one of those people because I want to see why people thought that. Like, he even went and he met with Mr. Dudley. Like,
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that scene.
Yeah, he went to the factory.
He went to hair shows.
Relaxer.
Yeah. Now I thought it was done. I thought it was like I thought the documentary was done really good, but I just didn't get into it because I was just like, oh, okay, this is cute that he's doing that, whatever. But I just never got into it. Like I said, I only saw it once.
Want to come away from it with that.
Of course not.
I think because
it was a black man.
That tone,
yeah,
in his voice, or like when he asks a question, it seems sarcastic.
And he's a comedian, and I'm gonna get into the comedy aspect. I'm gonna get into the comedy aspect in a second because I do have personal ties to that. But I will say when Chris Rock lost me was, now I did like Everybody Hates Chris. I did like that show, but
I never watched one.
It was cute. I watched it when it was in syndication. My grandmother surprisingly used to love it. So like if I would be over the house and they would have reruns on, then I would watch it with her or whatever. And I ended up liking it. But anyway, when he hosted the Oscars in 2016, and he had Stacey Dash come out talking about that she was on some kind of minority board or something like that. It was a joke that completely fell flat. Even everyone in the audience, including the white folks, were so uncomfortable that he did that. And I was like, he thinks shit like that is cute. All the problematic stuff that she's been saying. So that's when he lost me. I didn't care about any of that other stuff. That's when I was just like, okay, Chris Rock, okay, we get it. I understand comedy and everything like that, but this wasn't the move. The problem with her. So that's when he lost me. So
yeah, I mean, if I would have seen it, I probably wouldn't have approved. I can't tell you when I stopped watching the Oscars, honestly.
I stopped watching the Oscars like maybe 10 years ago.
It was that year. It hasn't been that far away. But it was definitely a year where no black people got it.
Oh, yeah. I think that was the last year I stopped watching it, too. So that was probably...
And I gave up on them.
Yeah. And then like a couple years later, that's when they started the whole Oscars Not So Black or whatever that hashtag was or something like that. Yeah. That Jada actually, shout out to her for that. She actually did help promote that. Like I will give her that because she actually did put it out there because of course it had to do it mainly with Will. It was mainly personal to her, but it did help start the movement. I will say that.
Yeah, I don't, I really am not a fan. And I used to be when I was younger, when we were in high school, middle school. I definitely was a fan of all award shows.
Me too.
I was happy for all award seasoning because that Tuesday when the magazines came out, who got the best dress and the worst dress,
that was all in there.
Ready. But I can't necessarily say. So I do, but at the same time, I do respect the space.
Oh yeah.
It's just like when you walk into the White House, you may not respect whatever sitting president is in office,
right?
But you respect the space that you're in
because what it represents.
Because it's still the White House,
exactly.
Regardless of who. That's why the insurrection bothered me so much. Did I say that word right? Was that right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I had to say it to myself.
That is why it bothered me so much because I don't have no respect for Trump. I ain't really care about that. But it really just bothered me. Like,
oh yeah, it was very bothersome to watch.
This is the Senate. Like, this is the House. You can't do that in
You can't just go in. I mean, that looked like something out of some ancient country where the people were just. It was terrible. I don't even want to talk about it, girl. But yeah, it was terrible to watch. Yeah,
and that's how I felt about the Oscars. You know, I heard some people saying, "All you black people who keep saying, why you acting like this in front of white folks?" And this and that.
Nobody care about that.
I ain't really care about that either. But why don't we respect each other enough not to do that?
Exactly.
If we just in the room.
Yeah, when I saw people saying that, I was like, I don't nobody give a damn about that. This ain't about them. This is about us and how we treat each other. And for him just to feel like he can go up there and let me talk about the comedy aspects. This is what I'm going to tie into what I was just saying. So for me personally, I have a history in comedy. I'm not a comedian at all, you know, but I have wrote in comedy and I have, I've done improv. I wrote for improv, things like that. I even went to LA a couple times, which I'm going to talk about at a later time. And, you know, worked with a couple people who I worked in a comedy troupe with. So I have quite a few years in that. And I try to incorporate a little bit of comedy and things that I do even here. But I am not a comedian. Now, people were saying that it was just a joke and how people are going to view comedians now, and are people going to, you know, be able, because, well, first of all, people can't take a joke nowadays anyways. Right. So we wouldn't be able to handle this society would not be able to handle comedians like Red Fox, like Richard Pryor, comedians like that who just said what the hell ever. You wouldn't be able to watch television shows if these sitcoms came on today, like The Jeffersons and All in the Family and Sanford and Son, and even Good Times, because like I was watching Good Times the other night.
Girl, Seinfeld wouldn't make it today.
Seinfeld wouldn't make it today.
And that was just in the 90s.
Exactly. And it's really sad. It's just like, what have we become in a society to where it's almost like we're retreating back to now where comedians can't even tell jokes, or if they say something that offends somebody, they have to automatically apologize, or they have to risk being on a public stage getting the shit slapped out of them, you know, for a quote unquote joke. Now, regardless if you were offended by the joke, regardless if you thought it was inappropriate, something like that shouldn't have been said because of her condition and things like that.
No condition.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about that too.
I'm going to say what my mama said.
Yeah, please. Yeah, because I was going to get to that too. Because I actually hit on that, you know, when I was writing out the script that I was going to do on my YouTube page, but we're going to talk about that because I was like, oh, that was a good point. And I heard other people say it as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that's just to tie in the whole comedy aspect. And let me say this too. Chris Rock is a comedian. Will Smith is not. He's a comedic actor, and he only does that sometimes. There's a difference. There's a huge difference. But so let's move on. But I wanted to give it from the comedy aspect because a lot of people,
they don't know. Like, so my boyfriend said he went to work, and he said the young guys was at work like, because I just make it. I did it too. I said, but babe, let me tell you something. They don't know true stand-up comedians.
Exactly.
Like, they think they do. Them boys just funny on the internet.
Yeah. And the stuff they do
is
not
funny. Real comedy club comedians.
They haven't paid their dues. None of that stuff.
I'm going to tell you who the comedy club comedians is. Jerry Seinfeld has a show on Netflix called comedians in cars getting coffee.
Oh yeah, that is so good. Yeah, that's
those
good.
are real comics.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Chris Rock is there.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey,
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Murphy, Ellen. Like, these people did stand up.
Right. And there's also a difference between being a stand-up comic to a comedian. I mean, a comedic actor.
Yes.
There's different aspects of it. And
like
I always use this.
Faye.
Yes.
She would be considered like a comedy writer,
Mm-hmm.
a comedic actress.
Right.
So yes, she's on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Then he has like comedic actresses and actors on the show
right.
as well. But those are comedians.
Mm-hmm.
And these people cannot take real comedians.
No.
Everything has to be PC now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would like to, for those people, because I don't think some of y'all know G.I. Jane or seen G.I.
Listen,
Jane.
We talked about this
G.I.
too. Go
Jane
ahead.
was a bad bitch.
It's not an insult. And maybe just because I have short hair, I don't look at it.
About that.
It's G.I. Jane, as soon as she shaved that hair off, she was really listen. So I never saw G.I. Jane as anything disrespectful. No.
I didn't get what it was to be offended about.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was saying earlier, I think that anything that Chris Rock would have said about her, she would have been pissed about because she just doesn't like him anymore.
And now let's get back to alopecia.
Let's go there, please.
My mother. Hey, girl. 45 plus years in this business.
Listen.
And she just told me flat out, she's lying. She said she doesn't have alopecia.
And I've heard other hairstylists say this as well.
She said any cosmetologist can look at her and tell that she doesn't have alopecia.
Mm-hmm.
She said, now, will you have some hair loss, like on your edges or something from wigs or from styling? She said, but alopecia is round, bald patches.
Mm-hmm.
She said it's not a low fade. You can look at her hair. She said there's not one bald patch in her head.
Mm-hmm.
She said even that line that she tried to show people, she said that is still not alopecia. Alopecia is round, bald patches. She has no bald patches in her hair. She said, and they can say what they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
My mama said that. And I'm gonna trust my mama's word.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Over her word.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's her head or not.
Listen,
I said my mama been in the business.
And they've seen everything. Hairstylists seen everything. Yes, and especially when you've been in the business for that long. Yeah, she knows exactly what she's talking about.
She knows exactly what she's talking about. She knows the difference between hair loss and alopecia.
Mm-hmm.
And like she said, I recently saw an interview that she did, and I saw it too. I found the clip and I saw it where she talked about why her hair is short.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I was in the industry. They always wanted me to wear my hair straight and style it straight.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to wear my hair curly. She said now she's in the place where she can do what she wants to do.
Right.
And I like my hair, and I don't care how anybody feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't say shit about alopecia.
No.
I feel like, did y'all make that up? Well, that really heard her say it.
Well, I don't pay them no attention because Will and Jada, they lost me with this red table talk bullshit. Like, I was done. Yeah. I was getting to know too much about them, and that's when I was just like, okay, I'm done with y'all. But she supposedly, now I don't know if it was on Red Table Talk or anything like that, but I never saw it because I don't really follow them anymore. But I guess that's when she talked about having alopecia. I think it was like around November, December, January. It was recent, but it was a few months back where she actually talked about it in a video. And I still haven't watched it, so that's why
Is this when they had the doctor on there?
I have no idea.
Because I watched it when they had the doctor on there.
Did she talk about that?
They all sat around the table. They all took these health tests.
Well, this clip I saw, it just had her just talking. So I don't know if that's the one people are talking about or if it's the one you're talking about. But go ahead. I just want.
But, well, all I know is she has she has poor eating habits.
Oh, I'm sure.
So now, if you have hair loss due to poor eating habits, that could be a thing.
Yeah.
But again, you cannot dispute what the medical definition of alopecia is.
Right.
You don't have it.
See.
I mean, ain't nothing we can do or say about that.
And obviously, you weren't that hurt because when your husband went up there and slapped the shit out of Chris Rock, you were key, and you loved every second of it.
Now, woman to woman, why you let your husband get up there and do that anyway?
I mean,
you didn't want to stop him. Then I seen somebody say, "Well, it can tell how y'all husbands feel about y'all." Because y'all ain't never had a man stand up for y'all, fight for y'all.
Stop it.
Y'all sound crazy. It's crazy.
And another thing I don't get is now people are pissed because Chris Rock's brother, Tony Rock, has, come out and talk shit, and which he has every right to do. He's a comedian, but he's defending his brother. So now it's a problem to defend somebody. That's, because it was cute when Will Smith was defending his wife, but Tony Rock can't defend his brother.
And then, I don't have a problem being honest and transparent about myself. So he resigns from the Academy, right? I told my best friend, I said, you know what that remind me of? I said, I was about 22 or 23, and I had this job, good job. It was in a rehabilitation center for kids or something. And we had day rooms. It was really a jail.
Right.
But it was the rehab side of jail. And I'd called my mom or something on the phone. I wasn't supposed to. And we were talking on the telephone. So me being young, not knowing what's going to happen, I don't know nothing about no verbal warnings and,
we didn't care about that back then. You don't care about
I'm
that.
like, oh God, I'm going to get in trouble. And so I quit.
Before anything could happen.
I quit before anything could happen.
I've done that before in a job.
And this is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of him quitting before, he could face any consequences.
Right.
And I thought it was funny that the Academy released a statement like, he resigned, we accepted his resignation, but we're still going to move forward.
Oh, yeah. So that didn't do anything. Yeah, so it's just like, okay, you resigned and what? That's fine, because y'all don't do anything anyway. Really, the Academy, the same thing like with the Grammys has NARIS. It's the same thing. They don't do nothing. You just get a bunch of people who get together and they just do like a damn Scantron and vote on shit. That's all they do. It ain't nothing special.
That they take his Oscar back. I know people don't want to hear me say that, but
now I'm only going to disagree with that because a part of me is like, yeah, he deserves to be punished, and if that means taking his Oscar away, yes. But you have you have Harvey Weinstein who still has his Oscars. You have all these people who have done horrible things. And even though they may not have done it on the Grammy stage, I'm sorry, not the Grammys, the Oscar stage, should his
I think they really should have taken. I think they should have taken Harvey Weinstein's back as well. I don't think that takes away from the fact that Will should lose his.
Right.
Yes, you should take, but why didn't anybody make the campaign for Harvey Weinstein? I never heard anybody say one thing about it.
Me either. Somebody, I think one of our mutual friends posted something about that, and I was like, I never really thought about that because I don't give him any thought. He's a nasty ass fat. No, I'm sorry.
Who? Why didn't anybody say
exactly
he needs to lose his Oscar?
Nobody said it.
I've never heard a peep.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let me shut up because this again reminds me that. You know what I noticed?
What's that?
Seriously, is how come white folks don't ever be bashing other white people?
And that's the point that you were making last week too.
How come when Kevin Spacey did whatever case Kevin Spacey did,
you ain't hear nobody say nothing.
We ain't hear no white people say nothing.
The only ones who said something were people when it wasn't even about
the boy's mama.
Yeah, that was it. But it wasn't any of his friends in the business, nothing like that. They protect each other. Black folks are going, and this is in real life too. Black folks are going to dog each other to try to make themselves feel better, and that's something wrong with you.
That's why Chris Rock gonna come out on top in this situation.
Oh, he already
Because
has.
he got white friends.
Yeah, he got white friends, and white
He got
people
white
really
friends
love
who
him.
really value him.
Yeah.
And he got white friends. And he and the comics, like the stand-up comics.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, they gonna be on Chris Rock's side.
Oh,
blue,
yeah.
black, white, purple, whatever color they are, they already on his side.
Right. Because as soon as it happened, like within the first 24 hours, you had all these comedians. You had Kathy Griffin. You had, I don't know if Jerry Seinfeld say, I want to see that I saw him say something. You had Jim Carrey. Regardless of how people feel about Jim Carrey, he made the best point.
What's the issue with him? Because I didn't understand why people was trying to. But let me shut up.
They're calling him
everybody that's on Chris Rock's side. People are like bashing.
They got something wrong with them. Exactly. I didn't know, like, the things that people were saying about Chris Rock. I mean, not Chris Rock. I'm sorry, Jim Carrey. And I don't really want to say on this show because it's some vile things, I guess, or whatever. But just. I don't know. But I never heard any of those things about him. The worst I heard about Jim Carrey was that some young girl he was messing with, and I shouldn't call her a young girl, she was a young woman. She was younger than him, but after they broke up, she committed suicide. But it could have had something to do with her being, depressed after the breakup or whatever, but there's no proof in that. So it's just like, that's the worst thing that I heard him involved in, and to me it's not even something he should be involved in.
You can't put that on him, because that's just like everybody looking at Marvin Sapp because that girl was infatuated with him and she drove herself into that lake. Like,
right.
You can't blame Marvin Sapp.
You can't do that. Yeah, but people have been calling Jim Carrey but like you said, they've been calling him some vile names and things like that, and things that he's done. I personally haven't heard about him, but wow. It's just like you said, and you made a good point. Everyone who's coming to Chris Rock's defense has something wrong with them.
This is a sad day.
It really is.
But you said something when we talked, because we just kept calling each other every day. Like, girl, do you see the show?
Right.
Girl, you know what? See, this go back to how the show got the title. Like,
girl, you know what?
Woo, child, you said, but I'm just watching people.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see, Mm-hmm. So that's what we did for the week. We observed.
Right. Yep.
And I can honestly say, some of y'all home training is fucked up.
Sure, listen.
We out here telling kids, keep your hands to yourself and only hit them if they hit you.
Right.
And now, but then their parents and y'all parents are somewhere like, yeah, that's what he get. Right. Like, y'all, he's 50, y'all.
He's 50.
Y'all believe it's appropriate for 50-year-old men to walk around doing shit like that?
Listen. And to me, I'm sorry, he wasn't defending his wife. He was trying to prove a point to her.
You see what she did when he sat down, never looked his direction.
Never looked his way.
She don't give a fuck about none of that.
She don't care.
She does not care. She didn't even turn her head in like solidarity or give him a pound.
No, she gave Amy Schumer a pound. She gave Amy Schumer a pound, though, when Amy Schumer came back right after the break and was like, she said something like, she had to try to play it off and everything, of course, being a host. But she said something like, something happened during the break. I don't know.
Oh, yes,
yeah, you saw her. She gave, and then Jada was just tickled. And so was Will. And that was the other thing. It was like, after it happened,
he didn't give two damns.
No. Nope.
He gonna stand up there and cry.
Right.
He wasn't crying about what he did, y'all. He was crying because he won.
Exactly. So he could say whatever he wants.
He gave such a heartfelt apology. Girl, that was a heartfelt Oscar speech.
That's all it was.
And he just happened to say he was sorry in the middle of it.
Yeah, and he didn't apologize to Chris Rock. And during that, he apologized to everybody else but Chris Rock.
His publicist wrote the apology to Chris Rock.
You know that. And publicist.
And he still excused his actions in the apology.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said something like, I can take jokes towards me, but when it's directed at her, like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what we're going to leave you with today. As a lesson.
As a lesson, please.
Ladies, this go for you too. But men, let's start with you. Don't be out here defending the honor of a whore and then lose your whole life behind it.
That part. Because you try and do something like that and see where you end up and see how cute it
and
is.
ladies, the same goes for you.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all be out here defending niggas who be talking bad about you behind your back. You be out here fixing plates for men who could care less about you.
Right.
And it's time that we start caring about ourselves just as much as you putting the energy into that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Put it into you.
Right.
Put it into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Defend your honor. Be selfish for 6 months and see what it gets you.
That's it. There's nothing wrong with being selfish, even if you're in a
See
relationship
if
or
they
not.
treat you the same way that you treat them.
Mm-hmm.
Just stand back and watch. Because at the end of the day, you about to lose. Netflix talking about they halting on its productions.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing your livelihood
over what?
Behind defending the honor of a whore. And I don't care what y'all say.
I mean, it is what it is. Because
she let your son's 20-some-year-old friend come into your house.
Who already had, let's not forget, he already had some issues.
And he was bipolar.
Right.
And to see the mothers who were like, yeah, that's right, Jada. Do your thing, girl. Guess right. Get your thing. Y'all, he's a kid. He's a young man.
Right.
With a mental health issue.
Who's been through a lot.
And as a mother, as mothers, y'all was okay in that behavior. Lord, lift us up.
Like I said, I always say humanity is done. It's done. It doesn't exist anymore.
Lift us up, Lord.
Ciao. But that's where we're going to end that. That's where we're going to end episode 9. So, y'all feel how y'all want to about it. We said our piece, and then there's that. So if anything else comes out, I'm still not going to post about it. But anyway, I say what I had to say on here. And you can like it or lick it or love it. I don't care. But you all have a great week. Anything else you want to leave them with? Okay.
All righty.
All right. So we will see y'all next week. Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.